This week, we're talking about stress and anxiety. Hi. Happy Friday. Yes, it's Friday already. Hey, I'm so glad you can join me. I want to spend about 20 minutes today talking about stress and anxiety because it affects all of us. And if we don't start to take a look at the amount of stress we have in our lives, and goodness knows it's been building over the last year and a half, right? Then it's not good. It's not good for our health. It's not good for our relationships. It's not good for our job. It's not good. There's nothing good about stress. Although what's funny is that some people I hear will say, well, I work a lot better under pressure. My projects always turn out better when I'm stressed out and there's a deadline looming overhead. But really, I have to ask you, is that really true? Do you really believe you perform better under stress? Really? You may tell yourself that just to sort of reinforce the fact that you're stressed out and you're procrastinating, but do you really do a better job when you're stressed out? Let's start with what is stress. Stress is physical sensations that happen in our body which are caused by a release of hormones when our body senses danger. Now, the hormones that are released are cortisol and adrenaline. And basically what happens is our brain senses these feelings of danger in our body. And that's what happens when we get stressed out and we get filled with anxiety, right? We send these senses through neurotransmitters to our brain. And there is the lower part of the brain, which is the more primitive part of the brain, the part of the brain that we share with all animals, and it what keeps us safe. Think back of, let's say, when we were cave women, okay? We didn't have shelter. We didn't have food readily available to us. There were neighboring tribes that were coming in and attacking us. And there were wild animals that were coming and attacking us and killing us. And so we were always on the lookout. Humans then were programmed to always be on the lookout for danger. Now, move forward 1,000,000 years and yes, we don't have to worry about wild animals or neighboring tribes coming to get us. Food is readily available. You just have to pick up your phone and order it on Uber, go to the grocery store, they're 24/7. But we still have built inside our lower part of our brain, the primitive part, that danger, that sense of danger. It's always on alert. So along with the lower primitive part of our brain, we also have the higher, very well developed part of our brain, and this is called the prefrontal cortex. And this is highly functioning. It actually was developed last. It is an incredible computer. It can think and plan long term. It controls our self-discipline, and it also really greatly attributes to our personality. So remember, our brains can't see, right? So it doesn't know the difference between a wild animal chasing us and we're running for our lives, or an email we get from our boss saying, please call before you come into work tomorrow. Both are going to send these signals through our body, through our neurotransmitters to our brain saying danger, danger. And then what happens? The lower part of the brain, the primitive part, releases hormones. It releases the adrenaline. It releases that cortisol. And that's how stress all starts, right? So it all comes down to our thoughts that cause all this. I like to think of it as, do you remember that TV show? It was from a long time ago. And I was a kid, so this is gonna sort of give you an idea of my age, but I believe the show was called Lost in Space, and there was a family, and then there was the crazy doctor, and he had a robot that was his best friend, but they were always arguing. And the robot would, I just remember, I think I had a red light on top of its head, and it had these funny arms with these hooks on the end or something, but every time it sensed danger, the light would go off, its arms would go, and it would turn around in a circle saying danger, danger, danger. Do you remember that? Lost in Space. It was hilarious. Anyway, that's basically, in really the simplest terms, what happens in the lower primitive part of our brain when we release this stress and anxiety, right? It's the same thing. It goes danger, danger. So it gets into protection mode. Okay, so that's what happens. Now, how do you feel when you get stressed out? I know most people, Tommy, maybe you feel something different, but most people start to feel tense and tight. Their shoulders are up around their neck. Their hands get kind of clammy. They can't eat. They get short with people. They're irritable. You're not breathing, right? Instead of taking big deep breaths and being calm, you are taking really short breaths, which it affects our whole body, and it affects how we interact with other people. It affects how we talk to ourselves. It affects our work. It affects everything. So that's why it's so important to try and combat stress and anxiety as soon as we can. So I've got 2 ways and then 4 to help you combat your stress. So let's start with the first 2 ways that you can sort of relieve some of that stress. Don't take away that circumstance, but I can help you deal with the feelings you get. Okay, so stress tip number 1, I want you to do a body scan. I don't know if you've ever done a body scan. If you're into meditation or you do yoga, a lot of times instructors will ask you to do a body scan. And a body scan is just taking a deep breath and actually feeling what's going on in your body. So I want you to feel the actual sensations like I just described. You know, you've got sweaty palms and your stomach feels tight and your shoulders and your head starts to ache or it starts to pound. I want you to take a look at and feel the sensations that are actually happening in your body and where. And then I want you to write them down. It doesn't take long. It'll take maybe 5-10 minutes. But what's really important is that you describe these feelings, sensations, not just give it a word, because our brains relate words to feelings, right? So anger is a certain feeling. Being afraid is a certain feeling. But think of it in a way where you are describing what's happening in your body to somebody who doesn't understand what anger looks or feels like. So I want you to get really, really specific about what's going on in your body and describe it. Okay, so by doing this exercise, you are going to start to calm your brain down because your brain is going to realize that you're not about to get eaten. You're not in any grave danger. And it's slowly going to start to calm down. Don't forget, your brain can't see. It just feels things that are sent to it through those neurotransmitters. So the more you realize these different feelings and you describe the feelings that are happening in your body, your brain will have something to think about other than being in danger, and it will slowly start to calm down. Okay, so that's step number 1, just to sit down with yourself, take a deep breath, and write in really good detail what's going on in your body and where, and really describe it. Step number 2 is, you know I'm gonna go there, our thoughts are what causes our stress and anxiety, right? So I just used an example earlier about an email from your boss. So that email comes to your inbox from your boss, but you don't know what it says. Like, you don't know what that email contains, but your brain is going to think that it's the worst. So your thoughts are then all negative. And that, of course, is what's going to cause the stress. So do you see what I'm saying? The email is a circumstance. That's not causing the stress. Your thoughts around that email are causing the stress. This is the kind of stuff I do with my clients. One-on-one, we really dig deep and find out what your stressors are, what your triggers are, what the circumstance is, and what your thoughts are around it. And then we go from there. As I said, I cannot change the circumstance, but I sure as hell can help you to alleviate some of the stress and anxiety that is in your life so you feel happier and healthier and more alive, not all stressed out. Okay, so those 4 tips that I was mentioning, here's what they are. If you can try to tell yourself these things, these 4 little sentences on a daily basis throughout the day, or write them on a sticky note and put them on your fridge, it'll really help. So they are, number 1, self-satisfaction, self-forgiveness, self-love, and self-compassion. You know, we beat ourselves up from the moment we wake up, right? We're never good enough. We're never doing enough. We're never enough. We're never skinny enough. We're never, never, never. And we're constantly berating ourselves and beating ourselves up. No wonder we're stressed out and we're not happy. We need to change that. And that starts with how we talk to ourselves. So try those 4 tips. Okay, so this is what I do with my clients. We work one-on-one, and when we do that, we really dive deep into what's causing you the stress in your life, what your thoughts are around it, as opposed to what the circumstance is. It is hard work, but it's worthwhile, and if it's going to get rid of the stress and anxiety you're feeling in your body, it certainly is worth it. So I also, of course, have my Think Yourself Thin program. We've had amazing results. The women that are working with me on this are feeling amazing. They're looking and just learning so much. A lot of them who wanted to lose weight have lost a lot of weight, but not only that, they're changing their lifestyle. They are learning to eat healthier. They are learning about food fundamentals. They're learning about thought work and how thoughts trigger actions and how food gives us comfort. And so we feed ourselves. We don't feel our emotions, right? So we're learning all that. We're going back down to the basics. It's amazing. And I am so honored to be a part of this journey with so many women. If you would like to learn more about getting rid of some of the stress and anxiety in your life, if you would like to learn more about getting a handle on food and your thoughts and losing weight and just feeling better about yourself, because you're worth it, girl, you definitely are worth it, then just click on the link that's attached to this newsletter. It'll take you to a sign up page. It'll take you to an information page, or, you know, you can always email. I'm always around and happy to answer any questions you have. That is the webinar for this week. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week.